I'm beside myself at this point. I'm miserable. I'm sad. I'm alone. And he walks in with his nurses and he goes, we need to get an IV in you right away. I just can't believe it.
And you're having surgery tonight.
And this is when things get like so weird. It still makes me a little bit emotional. We are here today for a story time. I had something totally crazy happen to me over the weekend. I talked about it a little bit on my Instagram, so if you're not following me there, you may not know what's going on. I honestly have to document this. I need to make a video, put it on YouTube because it is kind of the craziest story. So let's start from the beginning. About a month ago, I started having this horrible pain in my stomach, like really bad cramping. I did have a baby about 8 months ago, and since my cycle has come back, I have had more cramping more than usual. Thought it was just my cycle. But the cramping became so intense last month that a bell went off in my head and I go, I felt this before. It's a kidney stone. It was really, really painful. It was almost my birthday. I was so sad. I was like, oh my gosh, I have a kidney stone for my birthday. And then Brian surprised me and my best friend flew into town. I was honestly like, I have a kidney stone. I can't do anything. She's like, oh no, it's okay. But weirdest thing, kind of a miracle. The kidney stone, the feeling, the cramping, it all just went away. It lasted about a little over 48 hours of really bad cramping, and then bam, it was gone. So a part of me was like, gosh, maybe it really was just my cycle, or maybe the kidney stone went away. I don't really know, okay? So the feeling went away, and I thought, if that happens again in a month, then it's your cycle, Missy, and you can't blame it on anything else. So about exactly 24 days later, Sunday night, the cramping came back, and oh man, it was so painful. I had actually just gotten done milking the cow, and Brian and I were in the garage processing the milk. I told him, oh my gosh, I'm scared. The pain is back. It hurts so bad. And you know, at that point I was like, I told myself, if it happens again in a month, it's most likely your cycle and you need to just calm down and relax. As the night progressed, the cramping and the pain getting so intense. I put the babies to bed. I tried to take a bath. I took some Tylenol. Nothing was touching this pain. It was just so painful, and I was sitting on the couch practically shaking from the pain. I was so uncomfortable, and I was like in my head thinking, is this more serious? Brian was trying to keep me calm. He's like, babe, this happened a month ago. It's probably just your cycle. And if it is a kidney stone, then you know what's gonna happen. It's a kidney stone. You have to pass a kidney stone. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to keep calm. I'm trying to relax. As the night went on, I started looking up ERs, and we live kind of far from town, so I'm like, where's the nearest ER? I'm getting nervous. I finally tell Brian, I said, I think I am gonna go to the ER, but I actually just want to go by myself because it is probably nothing. It is probably just cramping and I'm gonna start my period in a couple days. I would feel better if everyone just stays here and I just go, because it's probably nothing. Let me just give you a little heads up. It was not nothing. What happens next is nothing that I could have possibly imagined. Just gonna run down to the ER, probably be there for a few hours, but I'll be back. At this point, it was about 10 p.m. It's kind of late, and I'm like, it's fine, I need to go. The whole drive to the hospital, I am just bare knuckles. I'm fine, I can drive, but I am just like, it hurts. It really, really does hurt. I'm not joking. It really hurts. Sometimes you gaslight yourself. You're like, it's not that bad. It's not that serious. But it was really painful. Though still did not feel like it was anything too serious. I took the car seats to my car. So there's no car seats. Like if Brian did need to come get me or like bring the baby to me, he wasn't going to be able to. Because I literally thought I was going to the hospital for them to say, either one, it sounds like you're just cramping, or two, you have a kidney stone, you need to go home and rest, and hopefully you pass the kidney stones. I did not think that they were going to tell me anything else. So luckily I live in a small town, and so when I did get to the ER, They took me right back, which was so nice. I told them my history and everything I'd already told you. He is like, yeah, it sounds like a kidney stone. The only way to know for sure is to do a CT scan. So I literally tell this guy, I go, we can do a CT scan, but as soon as we do the CT scan, I need to go home. So if you want to call me with the results, that would be nice. He said, I'll look at it. If it looks serious, then I'll let you know that either you need to stay, but if it doesn't look too serious, go home and we'll give you the official results. They said that works because I gotta go. I got a baby at home. Still not taking it like that serious. I get my CT scan and about 15 minutes later, which by the way, they took my blood pressure and my blood pressure was through the roof, which I have very low blood pressure, but that freaked me out. That was definitely a sign of something seriously wrong because my blood pressure is always very low, very normal, never high, and it was through the roof. And that freaked me out a lot. That made me go, okay, wait, maybe this is more serious. Sure enough, the CT scan comes in and he walks in with his nurses and he goes, I'm sorry, but we need to get an IV in you right away. You have appendicitis and your appendix is double the size that it is supposed to be. And we need to get your appendix removed immediately. Okay, I'm filming right now because I'm in shock. The way my life has transpired over the last 2 hours is insane. I was like, wait, what? I was alone right now. I cannot handle this information. I have kids at home, my husband's at home, my parents are at home, and I'm just sitting here alone and they're telling me I need to go into surgery right now. I was freaking out and they're like, we need to get an IV in you right now. You get antibiotics started right now. Okay, can I call my husband? Like, I need to call my husband. Brian's at home and he's got the baby and he's trying to shush him back to sleep. I'm like, Brian, I apparently I have appendicitis and I need to have surgery. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, apparently my appendix are about to burst. He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. They said they can't even do the surgery here. They have to take me by ambulance to another hospital to have surgery. He's like sitting there trying to take care of a baby going, what? So then I call my parents. Still don't know what to do. Part of me was not taking it totally seriously. I was just kind of out of it. I tell my parents and my parents are like, well, if you have appendicitis, you need to get your appendix removed. That's the only option. Drove myself to the hospital. Brian and the babies are at home. Walked to the ER. They gave me a CT scan. And they're like, girl, you have appendicitis. And you're having surgery tonight. And so now my dad's here. And I guess having surgery, I have to get my appendix out. And I just am still in shock. I had to go by ambulance. Otherwise, if I were to leave the hospital, I'd have to go to the other hospital and start all the way over. Go to the emergency room, get a CT scan. I'd have to start the whole process over.
Okay, I'll schedule it around the corner.
In this scenario, they would transfer me to the new hospital and I would immediately go into queue for surgery at that hospital. Unfortunately, the only option was to take an ambulance. My dad came to me. He brought me a few things that I needed because he brought me a charger and a few items. And then he even brought the car seat back to Brian just in case he needed it. And so that began my night of craziness. And I even have some footage at this point. I think they had given me morphine at this point because I was in so much pain. They were like, let's get your pain down. Once my pain came down, my blood pressure came down and everything started to relax a little bit. I was a 10. Now I'm like... Here's where the story gets really crazy. It still makes me a little bit emotional because the situation was very difficult. I've never been to like doctor's appointments alone. I always have either Brian with me or my mom with me, but I felt like everyone needed to go home and get some sleep. At this point, I was going to be transferred to another hospital where I was going to have to sleep. In the morning, I was probably getting surgery. I told everyone to go and I would be okay. I made it to the hospital that I'll be having my surgery. I'm all alone. I made my dad go home because I really wanted him to get some sleep. I feel terrible that everyone's probably awake and stressed. This is just so crazy. I just would have never thought that this was the turn of events. It's 3 a.m. The baby is sleeping. Thank you. Brian's taking care of
the babies, and my dad's getting some sleep. I mean, I'm gonna try to just keep Jamie at home and Brian at home with the babies for as long as possible, as long as he's eating and stuff, because no reason to bring him to the hospital. I miss him and I want him here so badly, but him taking care of Jamie and Brielle and the boys actually it takes care of me by him taking care of them. It makes me feel best that they're with their dad and they're okay.
When we got to the new hospital, I met my nurse, okay? And this is when things get like so weird. At first, I thought my nurse was so sweet. My initial reaction was that she seemed really kind, really sweet. I actually told her, I'm so glad you're my nurse. You seem like someone that is really safe for me and someone that I can trust. I was really excited for my nurse. I texted my mom and Brian that night. I said, I'm in my room. I have an amazing nurse. She's very sweet. So I'm being well taken care of. So get some rest and I'm good. So that was kind of the start of my night. Here's the thing. I had not drinking any water since I had left my house at around 9 p.m. When I was in the ER, after they had told me I had appendicitis, I said, can I please get some water? And they said, unfortunately, you cannot have any water anymore because you are going into surgery, which I understood. I was like, oh, okay, makes sense, but I am really thirsty. At that point, it was about midnight. I was like, gosh, when am I going to have surgery realistically? Probably not till morning, like 6 or 7. Like if I wanted some water, I should get some. But they were just like, we don't want to mess with it. By the time I got to the new hospital, it was about 2 a.m. My new nurse, who I really liked, I said, could I just get some ice chips? My throat is killing me and I really need some water. She said, I am so sorry. With surgery, you really can't have any water. And I was like, I know, I understand. At that point, from about 2 to 5 a.m., everyone had left me alone and I was trying desperately to get some sleep. But to be totally honest, I was dying, literally dying. And I know this sounds so dramatic, but like my throat was killing me. I could barely speak. Not to mention I'm a nursing mom, so I am making milk, which really does make you extra thirsty. I did not get even a stitch of sleep. I have no spit left in my mouth. Now, I will say, they do have me hooked up to saline, so I am not dehydrated. I have hydration in my body, but my mouth was just so dry and uncomfortable to the point where I couldn't sleep. I was so uncomfortable. And so at 5 a.m., I knew the answer was already going to be no, but I felt like if I explained the situation to my nurse, maybe she could help me in some way. I ring for a nurse to come. She says, hi, how can I help you? And I barely muster the strength to say, can you get my nurse? And it's just totally quiet for about a minute and then it just hangs up. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe she didn't hear me. So I ring again for my nurse and they go, hi, how can I help you? And I go, hi, I'm sorry, you may not have understood me, but could you get my nurse? About 15 seconds of silence goes by and she goes, what do you need? And I said, I'm just really need some water. Could you just have her come in? And she goes, okay, she's coming. A few minutes later, the nurse comes in and without even asking me what I need, she just goes, you cannot have water. I have already told you this. You cannot have water. You cannot have surgery. And I go, I know, I am so uncomfortable. Even just an ice cube could really help. I can barely breathe. I can barely swallow. And she goes, I know, I'm sorry. You just can't have any or you can't have surgery. And I begin bawling my eyes out. Now, mind you, I am exhausted. I am alone. I am scared. I am just so uncomfortable. I was just really emotional probably, but I was so thirsty. And honestly, an ice cube would have probably done so much for me. I was bawling. I was literally crying tears. She just walked out of the room. She was like, sorry, you can't have any. And then she shut the door and left. And man, I was bawling. I called Brian at that point and I was just like, I don't know what to do. I'm so thirsty. And he's like, babe, it's okay. I'm sure it won't be long. I'm sure you'll have surgery soon. I'm just like, I don't know. I have no idea when no one will tell me when my surgery is. Nobody will tell me when the surgeon will even be here. It's all up in the air. As far as I know, we might not have surgery until the evening. We could have surgery in the morning. We have no idea.
Currently waiting for surgery. I really tried to sleep but I didn't get even like a minute of sleep. I tried for so long. I just would close my eyes, and I think I'm just very stressed, and it's just hard being away from the kids, especially Jamie, just because he's so little and I nurse him all the time. So that's been the biggest, hardest struggle. I am very thankful, like, Brian is handling it. He's all, don't worry, everything's fine. Jamie's okay. He's eating. He apparently is drinking from a bottle or a sippy cup, at least getting stuff in. Plus, he is old enough to eat. He just doesn't eat a lot. So I think when he's hungry, he's going to be more willing to eat. So he has eaten some cereal and some applesauce and stuff like that. So it's just been very stressful. I think I'm officially supposed to be going to surgery here in the next few hours.
I am beside myself at this point. I'm miserable, I'm sad, I'm alone. I just can't believe it. Over the next few hours, I'm trying to keep my mind off things, but anytime someone asks me about it, I am bawling. Then my surgeon comes in. He's like, hey, we're going to be doing surgery soon. And I know you can't have water. I know it's a sore subject, but you really can't have water. We're probably going to do surgery around 3 p.m., which, mind you, at this point, I have had no water since 11 p.m. the night before. 3 p.m., I think I could have had water at like 5 or 6 a.m., but nobody knew when I was having surgery. So anyways, he's like, I know it's a sore subject. So clearly my nurse had spoken to everyone in the office and basically told them, like, she's very emotional about not drinking any water, which is true, but it's just kind of crazy. Every person who walked in my room at that point had kind of already known that there's a sore subject there. Someone else walked in and said, I know you really need water, but we can't do water. It made me uncomfortable. It made me feel like she was out there telling people this. This is the craziest part. It's finally time for surgery. I'm about an hour out from surgery, and a new nurse comes in and she is like, hey, you need to take some medicine. They've given you all pills, so you're gonna need to take this with water. She hands me a glass of water and starts allowing me to take my pills. It really rubbed salt into the wound, because here I was drinking water an hour before surgery, but I was not allowed an ice cube at 5 a.m. And I just thought it was crazy. In fact, there were so many pills I needed to take, I didn't even have enough in the cup of water. She had to get me another glass of water. So I had 2 glasses of water before my surgery. I was not allowed an ice cube at 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Right after I did take my glass of water and my pills, I'm kind of like at this point in shock. You refused water this entire time, and now I just took a glass of water. Weird. Well, then this lady comes into the room, and she's basically just coming to check to see how my stay has been. So first she's just like, do you know why you're here? And I was like, yes, I have appendicitis. I have to get my appendix out. She's like, okay, sounds like you understand why you're here. Do you know what kind of medications you've been taking? I said, yes, I've been given this, this, and this. Okay. How was it when your morning nurse left and your evening nurse came? And I said, oh, I didn't actually see my morning nurse. I think I might have said something that upset her, but she did not say goodbye. Like, she just left after that moment where I started crying, and I never saw her again. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. She probably was just busy. I'm sure you didn't say anything. And I said, okay. And she said, have you had to call for your nurse at all while you're here? And I was like, yes. She goes, how did that go? Did they respond quickly? And I was like, actually, at this point, it's kind of funny because at first I told myself, don't talk about anything that happened because they're about to do surgery and you don't need anyone upset with you. But she kind of starts baiting me for information, and the floodgates open, and I'm just like, and this happened and that happened, and she wouldn't let me have any water. And then I just had a glass of water, an entire glass of water. Honestly, I could have just used an ice cube and it's fine. She was like, it's not fine. I'm so sorry that happened to you. She could have offered you, I mean, even a rag. If she had just said, let me see what I can do, and even if it was nothing, if she had just offered some empathy, some sympathy for me, I probably would have been able to calm down. But she honestly just said, sorry, too bad, so sad, and peaced out. That was just a weird situation. And my biggest takeaway from this whole thing is, I really feel like being alone put me in a very, very vulnerable situation. There was nobody there to help advocate for me and say, what do you think about just getting her a wet rag to wet her mouth, or an ice cube to suck on to help with the dryness in her throat? I don't think that would have been that risky. especially thinking back about the fact that I was allowed a cup of water right before surgery to take my pills. It was just a very emotional and very unfortunate situation. I think being alone actually was really part of it. And this entire story is my word against her word because there was no one else there to say that absolutely did happen. Oh, it was just very crazy. I don't think I'll ever be over it for a long time. It might sound silly, like, okay, you just needed water, but there are so many people who could have been in the same situation. I definitely feel like she took her power and really held it over me. I finally did get my surgery. It was pretty quick and easy. I was immediately out of surgery. I said, I want to go home. In fact, when the nurse was wheeling me out to my car, they said, I take the record for the fastest discharge after surgery. And I said, yeah, that's me. Even when I had Jamie, I was out within 24 hours after a C-section. I don't like being in the hospital. I feel very uncomfortable. I feel very vulnerable to their rules and what they feel is, there's like no common sense. It's like, obviously, I think we all know that I should have been allowed an ice cube at 5 a.m., but because there was a rule, there was no common sense in that situation. And I just think that is what happens oftentimes in hospitals, and it's really sad and unfortunate. I'm really thankful for my surgeon and the doctors. They took good care of me. I did get my appendix removed and I am healing and everything's okay. But just the craziest story, a lot of lessons to learn, and I'll probably never go to the hospital alone again. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think it was fair? Should she have given me water, or was it a good idea to stay away from water? I was not at all dehydrated. I did have an IV of fluid, but I don't know. Just makes you think. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I'm doing good. Thank you to everyone who's reached out and said they're praying for me and thinking about me. It really does mean a lot. I love you guys and I just appreciate all of your support. I'm home and doing good. As you can see, I've just been resting, taking it easy, taking care of the babies. And I'm just very thankful to my husband for I think almost 24 hours, he was able to take care of Jamie and give him a bottle. And the kids never had a bottle before, but he did so good. And I'm just so thankful for my husband. So anyways, thumbs up this video if you enjoyed my little story time, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Bye.